Have you ever dreamed of living in paradise, a place where nature is spectacular, the quality of life unmatched, and even the women are incredibly beautiful and liberal? Well, that place exists. It's called Sweden. But don't get too excited, because like every paradise, it also hides a terrible snake. So tune up your ears, because what I'm going to tell you about the land of the Vikings will leave you speechless. Sweden is much more than IKEA furniture or everyday dancers. It is a country that overflows with life in every corner. Located in the north of Europe, on the Scandinavian peninsula, its borders are bathed by the Baltic Sea and the Gulf of Bothnia. And did you know that it is the fifth largest country in Europe? At more than 450,000 square kilometers, it is almost double the size of Great Britain. But what really makes Sweden unique is its extraordinary natural wealth. From the Arctic, with its 24 hours of sunshine in summer and the hypnotic northern lights in winter, to the fertile agricultural lands of the south, dotted with countless lakes and islands. Yes, islands. Sweden is officially the country with the most islands in the world, no more and no less than 267,570. Although only about 1,000 are inhabited. And speaking of islands, the most famous is the Stockholm archipelago, a true paradise with almost 30,000 islands and islets. The Swedish capital extends over 14 of them and has an urban national park, the largest in the world. Walking through its streets is like immersing yourself in a Viking fairy tale. Ah, the Vikings. Those fierce Nordic warriors who one day dominated the seas were the ancestors of the current Swedes. In fact, the name Sweden derives from the ancient Swedish tribe, or sphere, the Vikings who ruled these lands until the year 1000 AD. Its most legendary king was Ragnar Lodbrok, a true conqueror of the seas in the 9th century. But don't think that today's Swedes are a bunch of tough sailors. On the contrary, today it is one of the most peaceful countries in the world, having not participated in a war since 1814. Instead, they have developed one of the most advanced societies with the highest quality of life on Earth. But wait, not everything is as idyllic as it seems, because beneath that facade of a prosperous welfare state, a terrible reality hides. Sweden has become one of the most violent countries in Europe. In recent years, it has experienced a drastic increase in crime related to criminal gangs of non-national origin. The statistics are scary. Nearly 400 shootings a year, with dozens of fatalities. Levels of violence with weapons that multiply by 2.5 the European average. You know what is the worst? The trend is only getting worse. The gangs have gone from shooting each other to attacking their rivals' houses with grenades and explosives. More than 150 bomb attacks in 2023. The streets of Stockholm, Gothenburg, and Malmö have become a true battlefield where second-generation criminals, born in Sweden, compete for control of the lucrative drug business. Leaders like Rala Majid, the Kurdish Fox, and his organization Foxtrot have sown the idyllic Swedish streets with blood. And do you know what is the most surreal? That some of these drug lords are so dangerous that they can't even move freely in their own country. This is the case of Mustafa al-Jabiri, alias Benzema, a feared Swedish drug trafficker of Iraqi origin who had to fake his own death and reappear with a bulletproof vest and a gold Kalashnikov to avoid being killed. Seems more typical of a movie than real life in peaceful Sweden. But this is the harsh reality that Swedes live, resigned to reading daily headlines like, Stockholm, the Wild West. Mafia violence takes over the capital. The idyllic land of the Vikings has turned into a real hell. And all for what? Because of the explosive mix of an open-door immigration policy with a generous welfare state that has attracted refugees from the worst war conflicts. Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia. Desperate people who, without opportunities to integrate, have ended up joining the tentacles of organized crime. The cracking well-being model. And for decades, the Swedish model was revered by the left of half the world as a perfect example of social democracy and welfare economics. A system with very high taxes, but that offered generous social assistance, regulated housing prices with free rents, top-quality public health and education. In fact, its policies of equality and wealth redistribution led Sweden to top rankings in human development, life expectancy, and income equality. A true paradise on earth, but perhaps too good to be true. Because by opening the doors wide to uncontrolled mass immigration, the fragile welfare system began to crack. The new arrivals, most of them without education or resources, were marginalized in ghettos on the outskirts where aid did not reach. A perfect breeding ground for mafias to recruit helpless youth with the false promise of an identity. So it is not surprising that the Sweden Democrats, a party branded in the past as racist and extremist, have become the second most voted political force with their anti-immigration message. A simple, populist but effective speech. We say what you think. And what do the Swedes think? That immigrants are ruining their country. And they are partly right, because the new conservative government solutions involve toughening immigration and criminal policies, emulating the Danish repressive model. Increasing penalties, lowering the age of criminal liability even to 13 years. But will that be enough to reverse the enormous underlying problem? As if street violence and the rise of xenophobia were not enough, there is another element that imbues this Nordic nation with a certain dark air, the disturbing beauty of its women. Yes, I know it sounds strange, but only a naive person can ignore the danger represented by a land populated by Viking goddesses with ice eyes and golden hair. With their average height of almost 1.70 meters, endless legs, and sharp Valkyrie features, the Swedes exert a strange force of attraction, like that of a black hole devouring everything in its path. And if you add to that their reputation as independent, hard-working women with a very liberal and open mentality, the mix becomes lethal. In short, Sweden is a country that combines the greatest extremes of beauty and danger like few others. A nation that has tasted the honeys of paradise with its idyllic state of well-being, but is now paying the consequences of an outdated immigration policy and social model. Its other quiet cities and streets, bathed in perpetual sunlight, have been stained with blood thanks to violent organized crime gangs. A threat that is shaking the foundations of exemplary Sweden, dragging it towards populist and xenophobic drifts. But danger lurks not only in its suburbs, but also in the dazzling beauty of its women, those Valkyries with hypnotic eyes that could well drag us into a spiral of Viking doom. Rarely have violence and beauty been so united in the same place. So now you know, if you ever visit the land of the Vikings, be very careful where you step, and above all, who you come across. And you, who have come this far, what do you think of this dark Swedish secret? Leave it to me in the comments. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a good like and share it with your friends. And of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my next crazy things. A Viking hug, and see you next time.